Hello, and welcome to the Off-Meta Umineko Read-Along podcast, the semi-weekly podcast where I guide my friends and first-time readers through my favorite story of all time, the highly acclaimed murder mystery visual novel Umineko When They Cry. We'll be discussing its narrative and themes, and they'll work together with our community to try and solve its various mysteries. Hope you'll join us on this exciting journey as we delve into the witch's cat box. I'm Kyle J, and joining me on this one-way trip to Rokkenjiima, we have our readers, James Capelli, Ben, Hayley, and Becca. Welcome, y'all. So, how was your read this week?
Pretty easily one of the best segments of reading, in my opinion. Great twist, great characterization, great development, great to see malicious plots come to a head and come together for evil ne'er-do-wells. Good stuff, good reading. I'm intrigued, I'm enjoying it.
I definitely agreed.
Big disagree.
You just... We could summarize the vast majority of this podcast of like, Capelli has an opinion, Hayley doesn't have the same opinion.
No, that's not true. We sometimes align.
Oh, Hayley has an opinion. Let's be clear. It's just the wrong opinion.
Okay.
Oh, uh-huh.
No, I liked and I would say loved most of this reading. There was a few parts near the end I didn't love, but mostly just due to the wedding shenanigans that I still don't love. I don't love the metaphor that they're choosing here with wedding, but other than that, I thought what actually happened on the game board was very interesting and very enjoyable to read and watch. The couple of twists that came in were great, and it made me just want to kind of get to the answer because that's just how I am, and I had to stop because I do this podcast.
Well, soon you'll be free.
So I just want to be... So I didn't hate it. I thought the story itself was really interesting. I thought the character development that we got was really interesting. I thought the twists were fine. I just hated the way it was all delivered, honestly, which we've heard before from me. I just don't like the writing.
Hated, like, because of the emotional reaction?
No, I just don't like the
Alright.
writing. It's just boring and tedious.
I do feel some tedium here. I will admit that there is... It is the writer and they're needing to rehash everything over and over that does feel tedious. That sometimes it, like, if it just stopped a little bit sooner and just got to the point, I feel it would make more of an impact sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
And maybe is that what you're saying?
Exactly that.
Yeah, okay.
I definitely hear you guys. Like, especially this segment that has the twist. I felt that punch could have come 30 minutes earlier.
I didn't fully finish this reading. I haven't gotten to any said wedding shenanigans, but I will say I do love to win and be proven correct about certain things while still being proven wrong about other things. But I fucking called some of this. I'm very proud of that.
Oh, you mean like the actual mystery elements of it? Or character
Not
stuff?
the mystery elements, just like Battler ending up being locked in a closed room of his own making, and that being why he's like trapped inside his own mind and at the mercy of all of these witches. Nailed it. Cool.
You did call that. Good job.
Yeah, I thought of you when we read that. Yeah.
Yep.
I was sad that the gold truth is not what led to this, but when I figured out like this is what it is, like, Becca, that's smart Becca. She called it.
But yeah, I'm currently in Hachijo literally saying you need to make a guess and then I can check your guess for you. Like that's where I left off.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the big repeating aspects of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely hear y'all about the repetition that is 100% of things the author still does, which is so strange because, like, this episode, I would say, is cutting a lot of the chaff, and I say chaff in quotes. It's more of like, it's kind of dropping all the subtleties, and it's just like, we're just going to just hit the big peak moments instead, and yet we're still feeding stuff. So.
Part of what I did really love about this reading is the fact that it is essentially just confirming a lot of stuff that we were kind of guessing about the way the game was played in the early stages that we didn't really have any context for, or even like the way that they started using all the red truth and blue truth again. It's like kind of feels like all of this has happened before, where we're revisiting the earlier parts of the game when that stuff was introduced, but now we have the context to follow it easier. And yeah, it's just more overtly stating things so that we can keep moving at a faster clip because it's taking for granted we all know what this is now.
One thing that I definitely miss from the earlier games is that there isn't this, all right, roll up your sleeves, your pistol loaded, we're gonna duel. It's just, no, like, this is what's happening, and Battler's just, like, contesting against it there in the moment. And I just felt that's more compelling. I didn't need this formalized okay, we're going to use the red and blue now. You want to go first? We'll go first. We'll go first. I don't like, that's too much chess for what the story should be. Whereas, like, if it was just get to the point or just dive in, I liked the emotional reactions from Battler and Beatrices from the early. Like, that is what really drew me in, was that sort of pull.
Well, this week, we've read about 4 hours of the VN, ending on the line, his howl had no voice and could be heard by no one. However, it still rang out throughout the cathedral, which is videos 105 through 107 of the YouTube playlist. If not caught up to that point, go ahead and stop the podcast and catch up before joining us, or if you're just listening to us along for the ride, welcome aboard. Our story resumes in the guest house lobby, where Erika is continuing to sow distrust in the servants in order to take control of the situation. When Rudolph asks Kraus about Kinzo, he is able to get away with claiming that he is safer in his study, as Battler hasn't made Kinzo's death a major plot point of this game. They decide to split everyone up into 2 rooms. In the cousins' room were Kraus, Rudolph, Jessica, Genji, Cannon, and Goda. And in the next room over were Hideyoshi, George, Shannon, Kumasawa, Dr. Nanjo, and Erika. In the meta world, Battler's impressed by Erika's skillful manipulation, and admits that it's only because she is so skilled that she's acknowledged with the magic of the detective's authority. However, Erika explains that she needed to separate everyone into 2 rooms in order to allow herself to investigate freely without being able to use that power. Back on the game board, tensions are high in the cousins' room, where Rudolph and Kraus are watching over the most suspicious of the servants. While things are better in the next room over, the prospect of having to wait 2 full days before rescue can arrive has everyone on edge and unable to rest. Erika pretends to need to check on something in the cousins' room and convinces Hideyoshi that she will stay over there after she handles her inquiry. When Hideyoshi quickly returns to the room to make sure that Shannon doesn't try to take George hostage, Erika is left alone in the hall and finally free to investigate with no oversight. Jumping right into the meta world, Erika begins by demanding that Battler use the red to clarify the current locations of all bodies on the island, alive or dead. The first 6 Twilight victims are located at the places where they were discovered. Natsui is in her room, Eva is in the VIP room, Kyrie is in Kraus's study, Rosa and Maria are in the parlor, and Battler is in the guest room. And Battler acknowledges so. Erika continues. Hideyoshi, George, Shannon, Kumasawa, and Nanjo are in the next room over. Acknowledged. However, when instead of listing the names of the 6 remaining people, Erika asks him to repeat that everyone else is in the cousins' room, Battler refuses. Initially, his issue is with how this would require Kinzo's corpse to also be in that room. Erika quickly adds that as an exception. Regardless, Battler is still concerned about the use of the word everyone, and wonders what exactly Erika is up to. She claims that she is doing it this way prevents any excess people from being snuck onto the island, similarly to the way Nanjo may have been killed in episode 3, despite all of the Reds listing everyone by name. While Beatrice remains hesitant, Battler knows that if he backs down here, Erika will be able to claim that any number of unknown people could be on the island, and responsible for any of Battler's future tricks. And so, Battler acknowledges that everyone else is in the cousins' room. It's a powerful move for making the upcoming magical events even more inexplicable, but the fact that it's what Erika wants for some reason deeply worries Battler, and Erika immediately validates those concerns. As soon as Battler confirms everyone's positions, Erika invokes the privilege that Battler granted her, and uses 2 of the 3 rooms worth of seals she has to seal both rooms. Temporarily empowered with the red truth by this, Dlanor brandishes her blood-red longsword and announces, by the seals on the doors and windows, the complete sealing of both the cousins' room and the next room over has been guaranteed. However, even Cornelia is confused as to why the human side would go to such great lengths to reduce the number of human viable options with which to explain the mysteries presented. Back in the Witch's smoking room, Battler speculates that Erika might be using this as a defensive move to make it more difficult for Battler to perform the later Twilights, and thus have fewer mysteries to have to solve to win. However, Battler can't imagine that Erika would be happy with playing a simple defensive move. Somehow, this must be some kind of attack. Regardless of what defensive move she might make, Battler will continue his own offense.
See, that was all we needed. That length. That was great. Told me everything I needed to know.
Like, that should have been the reading. Like, that's it, we're done.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, not the whole thing, but for that section in particular, I just feel like it took forever. In fact, I created a notes document, which I don't always do, but because I actually started reading this on the weekend instead of the day before, like I usually do, I started to make a notes document. And literally the only comment that I had for this particular bit was, is Hideyoshi stupid? Why is he admitting he's handled guns in combat before? Which, I mean, was an interesting point, like, because it kind of raises him on a suspect list, right? But how did he not see through Erika's ruse? It was so obvious. Like, she's not as great as she thinks she is. Like, what? Like, come on, dude, you've got a teenage son.
Yeah, I agree with you about the Hideyoshi not seeing through the ruse. I don't think mentioning that he handled guns before is all that big of a deal, just because his name was was his name cleared in red? No, it wasn't, I guess. Wait.
No, I'd have to check
Yeah, I thought it was all the husbands
discovered the bodies.
and Goda was cleared in red. So like, I don't think that that's weird. So like, at least from like the 10,000 foot view perspective, like he isn't suspicious in that regard. But
Yeah, that's like his nervous tick is to like repeat stories that he like exaggerates, and that seems to be one of his go-to ones, is that he's shot someone in the war or whatever.
yeah, but the fact that he didn't see through Erika's ruse is stupid.
Stupid. So stupid. But yeah, I didn't think it was weird that him saying that. Just, I hadn't noticed him saying that previously. But I had realized, I did realize that he was just repeating a story. But I don't know, it made me question, like, how does that potentially fit into some of the other games that we've seen if Hideyoshi is comfortable with a gun, right?
True. He did wield one in episode 3. He was one of the people that was given a gun during that game.
Oh, was he? Oh, I've forgotten that.
It's fine. The author doesn't need to repeat anything. He'll get it on the first try.
Okay, Kyle. Touche.
Now, I'm going to cut that because I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean.
No,
No, you're
that's so
fine.
funny. You gotta keep it.
Yeah, you do. Absolutely. I mean, is it really that important, though?
Like, obviously, the way we're reading this is conducted to people forgetting details. Like, we are not reading this in a way that lets everyone remember everything all the time. That's why we have things to reference. We have all this stuff in place. So
Yeah.
I'm not actually...
How long was it between episodes when it was getting released, like in real time?
I think a year. I think about last time we checked
Okay.
is about a year between releases.
That's still
Good God.
episode 6 and episode 3. That's still 3 years.
Yeah, it's not nothing for sure. So I thoroughly expect all of y'all to reread all 6 episodes before we start episode 7.
I genuinely want to. I just know I don't have the time, but I would love to. Like, knowing what we know now, it's like, yeah.
We'll see how you feel at the end of the reading next week.
Ooh, how excited. What could that mean?
I mean, I feel like, well, we'll get to it, but the story definitely says some things that are like, by the way, we're going to reveal some shit very soon.
I'm so excited. I just want the shit revealed. I love
I
the
know.
catharsis of learning the truth of a story, even if I don't solve it myself. It just feels so good.
I also want the reveal so bad. I want it so
I
bad.
will see.
I just want it because, yes, when it's satisfying and it's so good, and there's been so much buildup, and also you touting this as like your favorite story, I assume whatever kind of reveals we get are going to be satisfying in some way, even if it's not like outright answers.
Yeah, as Hachi just says, it's
Yeah.
going to be couched in some mystery at least. I was gonna say, like, when you mentioned like this being my favorite story, this reading right here, I think, is one of the ones that like cemented this as being my favorite thing I've read. Some of the stuff we get into, like the twist that gets revealed later at the end of this reading, it was incredible to read at the time. But we will get to that.
It's funny that the thing that Becca remembers most is that this is your favorite, and I do remember that. But I don't think that we're going to necessarily get a satisfactory ending, because you've also a few times during these recordings said that it's just too damn sad. So
I mean,
I'm not expecting to be satisfied.
sad things can be satisfying, but
That's true.
well, we'll see how people feel when we get to it. Back on the game board, Erika checks all of the locks on the first floor of the guest house and then heads out towards the mansion to investigate. However, as she leaves, she discovers an envelope from the witch on the ground outside. Reading it, it seems to be notifying her that Battler's corpse has been disappeared and challenging her to come find it. Erika has Dlanor summon Battler, but when they all convene in the witch's smoking room, Erika says that finding this letter reminded her that she needed to report one of her retroactive moves. Apparently, back when Erika had gotten a small amount of time to examine the crime scene of Battler's death, she'd used her last remaining room of duct tape seals to seal the room when she had left. With all the survivors already sealed away, Erika smugly wonders if learning this might mean that Battler has to change his plans and not have the letter arrive here. Beatrice begins to panic, worried that Battler's plan might have been to have his piece fake its death and place this letter here before hiding somewhere. If that was the case, then Battler would need to figure out a way to revise the tale or risk causing a logic error. In the realm of theater going, Angie asks Featherine for clarification on what exactly a logic error is. Basically, a logic error occurs when the witch side continues to claim a magical outcome when the human method of producing that outcome is no longer possible. As Featherine explains, there are two kinds of magic. One kind is when giants and towers are summoned, but there is no actual effect from them when the result is actually observed. This kind of magic is simply a lie, with no observers to deny it with the anti-magic toxin. The other kind of magic, though, is what we might call true magic, magic with results. Human tricks that can then have their process disguised as magic. Since this letter has actually been observed by Erika, by the rules of this game, there must exist a valid method by which a human could have placed it here. It would be against the rules, and thus a logic error, to use the red truth to lie and deny the possibility of the actual trick that was used. However, the game master could theoretically come up with a different trick that didn't violate that red, and make that new version the reality of how the trick was always performed. Failure to come up with a new trick, though, and creating a mismatch between the human and witch sides of the story would destroy the game. That is what a logic error really is, and why to create one is a fatal loss for the witch side. And she suspects that Erika really did see through Battler's trick of pretending to be dead. However, as Featherine says, there's no need to panic yet. With the status of Erika's seals and the true life or death status of many of the victims of the first Twilight not yet confirmed in red, Battler still has plenty of room to change what trick he had been planning on using, so long as he doesn't let this stumble cascade into a deadly mistake. Back in the witch's smoking room, Erika offers to let Battler retcon the appearance of this letter. After all, it's only fair given that she had surprised him with a retroactive move of her own. We then get a glimpse into Battler's thoughts, where he admits that he had been planning on having his piece secretly be still alive and place the letter. Not wanting to give away that he had been seen through, he decides to let the story continue as it is, and figure out the optimal new trick when the time comes. Battler imagines that his pained expression now must be the same as Beatrice's was when he accidentally hit too close to the truth. Battler asks Chick Beatrice what her old self would have done in the situation, but while the previous Beatrice had been an expert in locked room tricks, Chick Beatrice, with none of those memories or power, could do nothing to help him. Having stolen one of the master keys when Krause had them taken away from the servants, Erika heads to the mansion. Wanting to see Battler's response to her move, she immediately heads to the guest room where his body was to check the status of the seals she put on it. Dlanor, Erika, and even Beatrice ask Battler if he is certain of his decision. But Battler says that he can't afford to back down here, and that he will figure out a way to make it work. As Dlanor says in red, we have confirmed that the seals of the guest room are undamaged. Since the time Lady Erika confirmed Battler's presence, this locked room has been preserved. Gleefully ripping off the seals, Erika opens the door to the guest room. Would there be a corpse on the bed or not? Even Beatrice could tell that this move was one from which there would be no coming back. However, before Erika turns on the light of the dark room, she offers Battler a deal. Erika admits that her goal in this game was never a simple victory for the human side, but instead to force Battler to create a logic error. Since the exploration of this room and its consequences was to be the endgame of their duel, an impartial third party is needed to make sure that neither side is cheating by creating a logic error and hiding it. Lambdadelta agrees to be that judge, and says in red, I swear that I am impartial in my judgments. Taking a look at Battler's hand of cards, she confirms what she had feared. Erika's guess that Battler had been faking his death had been correct, and now he was scrambling to find a way to make everything work. To use poker as an analogy, Battler had one of the worst possible hands, but still planned to try and bluff Erika into folding. But as Lambdadelta says, there's absolutely no chance that Erika was going to fold, and there weren't any new cards coming that would change the value of his hand. For this final investigation of the guest room, Erika says that all moves will happen at the same time, and retroactive moves will be allowed by both sides. That way, any new tricks that Battler might come up with that required a setup would be allowed, so long as they didn't contradict anything already established. Both sides can use as much twisted logic as they like until one side is victorious.
I like the setup to what they're about to do. Again, it sometimes takes a little longer than I want it to be. Like, I want it to take. But I like what they've really done in really showing us a perspective now from the witch side of things. Like, we've experienced 5 games so far, kinda. I mean, it's really, in my opinion, it's really like 4 games when the killing stopped after the first, when they found the gold and such. But to see what exactly the witch side was like thinking and what the author was thinking when he had to write the witch side and what he could reveal and what he couldn't is very neat. I like that, and I think this is a great way to kind of like get through it, not just explain it, but really show from Battler's perspective what it means to actually be like the holder of this realm, the author of this story. So that's cool.
It does make me wonder if you go back and like read the previous parts and look for like Beatrice's grimaced sprite, if you're like, does those match up with times when Battler had been close to actually guessing something that's correct?
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Like, he's got he has to have been close on some things, right? The one thing he was right on is that Kinzo was dead. Like, he figured that out. You know, he wasn't right about how the first Twilight happened in game 2. We know that, but he's definitely gotten close on something. I mean, the whole point of episode 2 is that he is simply not willing to suspect anybody on the island, which is fucking stupid, because you don't know these people as well as you think you do. You haven't seen them in 6 years, supposedly, and all this. So, like in game 3, he changes his perspective and he's willing to, consider what it means, especially when he's presented with the sheep as the wolves game. And then he starts getting closer. I feel like he could have figured out what the deal was with Canon showing back up. According to all these other eyewitnesses, all of whom I think are not trustworthy, And, he kind of got close to it. I just wish, they elaborated in any way how these 6 faked their deaths, that all of their loved ones were like, oh my god, yeah, they're actually dead. unless it's all a ruse.
Didn't they say this is all a ruse?
That is listed as a possibility.
I don't. As far as we know, the rest of the family does not know that everyone was faking.
Yeah, it is unclear.
I thought that this was a ruse by everyone to pull this over on
Erika, yeah. So they bring that up. It's just not made explicitly clear whether or not the men know for sure, and whether or not they had a chance to be informed. It seems likely, but also maybe not. It's not. We don't give the specifics of if they get informed.
I guess like it does explain a little bit of the metaverse of Jessica and George killing people, right? It could just be like
that was them coming to the mansion to tell them of the plan or whatever.
They're just the ones who set up these locked room escapades, right?
Mm-hmm.
George really did have this sort of showdown with his mom about his engagement to Shannon in an emotionally trying time. The thing that's just real dumb about that is the fucking why. Fool this little girl who appeared on our island. These characters can only do what the pieces can only do what the person would actually do. And I just think it's dumb unless there was some sort of foreshadowing that the family as a whole enjoys pranks or mysteries or anything. And the only person that's set up with is Kumasawa. I expect a lot of these characters who have missed out a lot of screen time are going to start having more screen time in episodes 7 and 8 as we get closer to who the culprit is and what's been happening in previous games. Because as a mystery author, you have to leave some characters ambiguous in order to have the reader being yes, but what about? And if you do that with just the culprit, which I have read mysteries that do that, it's pretty boring because you figure it out very quickly.
Why would they all agree to prank Erika? She was kind of a little shit to them at dinner, honestly.
Yep.
I find that kind of believable because she just come across as a real brat, especially without the detective hat that she claimed in the last one, right? I don't know, she just comes across as, I feel like she was basically arguing with everybody in the first reading that we did for episode 6.
But then
that's just her personality.
For now, it's now 3 a.m. and they're gonna have to all hide in those rooms. I don't know. It seems a bit much.
It's all a bit much.
And then to let this girl go wander the property on her own?
I mean, that was just a mistake by Hideyoshi, theoretically, yeah.
Yeah. They didn't let her. She was just so unbelievably clever that she managed to trick a grown man with teenage children that's not what she was doing.
One thing I'm also noticing is, unlike other games, there's no confirmation that the phone lines are out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they say it, but I don't know if it's... I mean, it's one of those things they kind of skip over.
Yeah, well, they say, well, I assume the phones are out, right? And everyone's oh, yeah, no, that would make sense. And it's just okay, if she leaves, then the two rooms can just easily communicate back and forth to each other. And they're did you see her climbing on the walls outside the windows? Yeah, what the fuck was that about? This chick is insane. Dehydration is a hell of a drug. I like that they got poker involved. I just think that's fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun metaphors in this one.
I do want to talk a little bit about Lambdadelta.
Mm-hmm.
And her seeming complete personality shift from previous games. They haven't gotten yet to what her and Bernkastel's motivations are.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, I figured they would get to the point where it's I don't want to say they're sympathetic or anything, but it's very human to wish to trap people in a misery that you have experienced, if only to distract yourself from having to deal with your own trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue talking about bullying and all that kind of stuff that really, really good. I love a lot of the I like a lot of the writing in this segment, Hayley. I don't know, so
The themes are fine. It's the deliver and that bit. So I didn't admit this up front, but I didn't finish either. I've definitely read that, so I think I'm almost finished.
I think so, yeah.
Have you finished the part with Gop?
No, I haven't got to Gop yet.
Then you've probably got an hour.
Oh my god.
About, yeah. This is a long read.
Yeah, it's a long one.
I already feel like I've read for 4 hours.
Even for 4 hours is a long read.
Yeah, that's why I got to work on it early.
Yeah, but no, I enjoyed that bit of dialogue. I did enjoy that bit of dialogue. It's the earlier pieces of this that were really a struggle to get through.
The more technical setup stuff. It's fair.
Yeah,
and that is classically the thing you don't like about
it. It is,
but
yeah.
it is required for some of the bits to land. We'll get to that conversation later about the bullying. That's a really fun one. I have to speed through these summaries because we've got a lot of summary to do. And so the final battle begins. Erika's first move is to turn the light so that the bed on which Battler's supposed corpse rested can be observed. And so, Battler confirms in red that Shrimia Battler is not on the bed. With Battler having risen to meet Erika's challenge, as his letter had stated, it was now Erika's turn to make a move. Erika wants to make a blue truth that Battler is hiding somewhere in the room, but Battler restricts her to making claims for specific locations only, as she will need to physically search the room. Before the search begins, though, Erika gives the blue. There is a possibility of a hidden door X that is impossible to discover. He's hidden behind that, so it's impossible for me to find him, which forces Battler to respond with the red. Nox is third. It is forbidden for hidden passages to exist. And Beatrice follows up with the red. No hidden places that are impossible for Erika-san to find exist inside the guest room. With those foundations established, Erika is finally able to search the guest room properly. As Dlanor confirms, the guest room is divided into 2 rooms, the bedroom and the bathroom. Erika searches the entirety of the bedroom section, but deliberately leaves one place unchecked for now. Dlanor confirms in red. Except for one location, there is no one to be seen in the bedroom. However, when Erika moves to check the bathroom, Dlanor warns her that running water can be heard and there is a faint heat. Additionally, even though the door isn't locked, there seems to be some resistance to her opening the door. Regardless, Erika shoves the door open and gets blasted in the face by boiling hot water from the shower, which had been rigged to spray anyone entering the bathroom. Covering herself with a blanket from the bed as protection, she enters and uses the wire cutters left in the bathtub to cut the wires holding everything in place and turn off the water. With the trap disabled, Erika is finally able to search the bathroom. Dlanor confirms in red that no one was seen in the bathroom. And so with that, Erika says in red that they have confirmed that except one location, Battler does not exist in any place inside of the guest room. What is this one location, Beatrice asks? Battler's coffin, of course. Erika gives her blue truth. You did not vanish from this room. You just hid yourself to make it seem as though you disappeared from a locked room. The place you're hiding is the one exception that I haven't investigated yet. This is the exception, the walk-in closet next to the entrance. Dlanor's blue spear stabs deep into the closet door. As she gives the blue truth, there are no places in which to hide other than this. You are currently hiding in here. Battler replies that he expected this move, as it's the same one that trapped Kenzo in Natsui's room in the previous game. Erika predicts that with just 2 more moves, she will have him checkmated. And so Battler throws the same prediction back at her. If she asserts that Battler is hiding in the closet, then this is his response. Yoshimura Battler does not exist within the guest room. There are no exceptions, including the closet. Back in the realm of spectating, Angie comments that Battler must have used the distraction from the water trap in the bathroom to sneak out of the guest room. Of course, though, Erika had foreseen this move, as it was the same one that Battler had used to escape Kenzo's study in the previous game. Erika announces a retroactive move from when she had first broken in the seal and entered the guest room. She announces in red, "At that time, I immediately closed the door, reset the chain, and sealed this room." Battler tries to object with the blue. Go to sever the chain back when the crime was first discovered. Since the chain lock is not functioning, it's impossible to use it to create a seal. However, Bernkastel overrules Battler's objection, stating in red that Erika repaired the chain lock. Lambdadelta also confirms in red that Erika used the duct tape to join the 2 ends of the chain together, sealing them. In other words, the chain that was repaired by the duct tape and this room once again became a locked room locked from the inside. Beatrice tries to object that Erika's already used up all of her duct tape seals. Lambdadelta overrules her with the red. The use of the duct tape wasn't limited by the number of strips, right? It was by the number of rooms. The only restriction was to limit it to only 3 rooms. Erika chose this guest room to be one of those rooms, so Erika has the right to seal as many places as many times as she wants within this room. Erika continues in red. I proclaim the chain lock has been repaired with the duct tape seal and has regained its original functionality. And thanks to that, I locked the room upon entering it, and made this guest room a locked room from the inside once more. Erika requests that Battler repeat in red that the lock created by the chain is currently intact. Battler's trick had indeed been to hide in the closet and escape while Erika was distracted by the water. However, with the chain lock now back in play, he wouldn't be able to reset the chain after leaving. And because he had already stated in red that Battler does not exist within the guest room, he can't simply have moved to hiding under the bed. Of course, he could just say that the chain lock was unset, but that would be admitting to Erika that she had been correct, and allow her to use the escaped Battler to explain all future mysteries. However, if he could instead come up with a different trick that kept the chain lock set, he could instead turn this total defeat into a surefire victory. If he was going to have to bet everything on a miracle, it might as well be one that, if it worked out, would completely turn things around. After much painful deliberation, Battler makes his move. He repeats Erika's request in red. The lock caused for the chain is intact.
A lot of things that I want to say here. The most lighthearted of which is specifically the art and the vibes of when she opened the bathroom and had like the water shooting at her face was very 999 for me, for those who played that game.
Yeah.
It was very nonary games.
Right? And it's probably like the barbed wire and like the steam overlay and everything.
Yeah, I loved it. It was very good. I love the little prank.
It's very what? 999.
999 or the nonary games.
Zero Escape series. Ooh, Hayley, I have something absolutely delightful to show you.
She will not like it. She will not like those if she doesn't like this part of...
I wholeheartedly disagree because the
That's
puzzles
fine.
of that game are way different from the mystery of this game.
I agree.
When we're done with Umineko, I will show it to you.
Okay.
It's a story I went into blind, and it instantly became one of my favorite games of all time.
It's so good.
It's also one of my favorites as well. It's very good.
So a lot of things that I like, I love the play of like, because of the way that this room works as a puzzle, I can say I did this retroactively. But like, I think it's clever, but at the same time, I'm like, there's no precedent for that being done by the human side at all. And I think it's also fucking stupid.
Yeah, I agree. See, we don't always disagree.
To be like, but when you couldn't see that, you, the game master, didn't know that I did this, right? Like, I think that's stupid.
It's bullshit.
Yes, that brings up a very interesting point.
I do think it's clever that it's just like the exact words you used were 3 rooms, and this is one room that I've already. So I'm like, okay, nope, that's wordplay. Fair play, fair is fair. But then also that relies so much on the plan that they had at the start to trap Battler in some fashion. You couldn't predict that that's the exact word, the exact amount of rooms. Like, you could say that, okay, well, she separated all of the humans into 2 rooms because she was only limited to 3, so she's limited by 2 rooms. She would have trapped them all in 1 room together, but then it just do that anyway, and then you have 2 rooms of tape to go around and use. I don't know. Like, I like what they're doing. I think it's clever. I think it's an interesting narrative play, but it's also just like, it's stretching a bit too much within the realm of what precedent has been set up for with the story, and I don't know. Like, I have a very love-hate with it.
I just fully hate it. Like, it feels like bullshit. Like, total, absolute bullshit. It's like the game master should know everything, and to just like retcon stuff just feels like, okay, I'll allow it once, right? But like this happens a few times,
Yeah.
and I think this is like the second time it's happened in this reading already.
It's the epitome of give him an inch, he'll take a mile. Well, you said yes before, so I'm now just going to do it whenever I want.
Yeah, it's absolute crap.
So I generally agree, but these are conversations that I can't really chime in on until we've completed the episode. So because there's like
Kyle!
Yeah, Kyle's had this shit-eating grin since I started talking, and it makes me uncomfortable.
yeah.
I also
I see you've read my next line.
I have not, actually.
I feel like in the same vein, when Battler, when he played the letter and said that Battler's corpse had been moved,
Mhm.
I thought it was an intentional bait to get Erika to use the last of her tape. And then when it turned out to be a legitimate mistake, I was like, wait, I thought you were smarter than this at this point, man. I thought that was bait.
Yeah.
That was a genuine move? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid.
I just want to say that noticing these things is not, I think, incorrect. I think y'all are right to notice some of these things, and I think we'll have a bigger conversation about a lot of this later.
And like, I was waiting for Battler to be like, you're pulling the same move that Beatrices did in episode 3. I'm not going to fall for it. I'm giving you the duct tape because it's actually playing into my hand. But,
Mm-hmm.
and like, that's like a part where like, okay, the writing and the acting is too genuine that if he turns around and he was like, no, I was actually faking it the whole time. If that is the case, it's going to be one of those things that I've been frustrated on many times before within the story where it's just like, where is the trust that like, it's okay to let your readers be like, because of some hints, I don't think this is real. Instead of at the end, gotcha, my writing was too good. Remains to be known, remains to be seen.
Before we move on to the next bit, did any of you play those old text RPG computer games on like 6 floppy disks?
Yes, I've gone Dennis.
I feel like one of the things that the author Erika 7 is really good at is dropping in pop culture references. Erika's first move being that she has to turn on the light made me think of those games immediately. Like, you can't do anything until you turn on the light because you don't know which way to go, and then like you could move north or whatever it is that you do next. But yeah, I played that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy text game a lot.
You've also suffered then.
I have, yes. That's how I learned what an analgesic was.
God,
As a
I
teenager.
haven't thought about that game in.
Yeah.
What's a floppy disk?
This made me think of that.
What's up,
Shut up.
floppy disk?
I'm old, okay? I'm old and I'm grumpy.
I'm here to make old people feel old and grumpier.
Erika, with her shit-eating grin, immediately files a motion for a logic error. Lambdadelta warns Battler that if he doesn't have an answer, unless he wishes to admit his failure and let his game board, his one memento from Beatrice, be destroyed, he'll be forced to spend an eternity fruitlessly searching for a trick to make the logic work. After much deliberation, Lambdadelta finally checks Battler's cards, and finds his logic to be valid. By thinking outside of just this single closed room, Battler had managed to find an answer. With none of the other victims of the first Twilight confirmed in red to be dead, and none of them sealed inside of their rooms, any of them, say Kyrie for example, could have traded places with Battler, reset the chain from the inside, and then re-hid in the closet. Kyrie could save Battler. However, suddenly, and out of nowhere, Dlanor cuts through Lambdadelta's hypothesis with the red. Ushirmia Kyrie cannot save Battler. Lambdadelta is baffled by Delanor's sudden use of the red, but Bernkastel confirms that it is valid. Lambda scrambles to replace Kyrie with one of the other supposed victims of the first Twilight, but Dlanor strikes down all of them. Ushirmia Natsui cannot save Battler. Ushirmia Eva cannot save Battler. Save your breath. Neither Rosa nor Maria can come to his aid. Death, 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 death. Die the death. Sentence to death. The great equalizer is the death. Beatrice tries to object. Without the detective's authority, how can Erika use any red except for the duct tape seals? However, Bernkastel overrules. Even besides the detective's authority, there are other ways for humans to use the red truth. As Dlanor confirms, there are certain actions permissible only to humans without the detective's authority that can create a truth of such overwhelming credibility that they cannot be denied. And it was to attain that power that Erika declined the detective's authority in this game. That's right, even if Erika still wanted to make a detective's proclamation, she could no longer do so. Nox's 7th. It is forbidden for the detective to be the culprit. While Battler, in his arrogant mercy, had given Erika 3 rooms worth of seals, he thought that meant that no matter what Erika did, he could still have someone from the first Twilight unsealed to perform the crimes. And so, Erika decided to make 100% sure that all of them were dead and take it off the game board. As soon as she heard about the crimes, she ran to every crime scene and, covering herself with a trash bag to prevent blood from getting on her dress, killed everyone all over again. As Bernkastel confirms, while the initial methods of killing differed for each victim, afterwards, she completely severed the heads of all she killed. Even Lambdadelta must admit that decapitation is sufficient to allow a human to prove someone's death with the red truth. And even though she left bloody evidence of her crimes at every crime scene, none of that makes a difference for this game where the police will never arrive. Only Battler was left alive, so he could walk headfirst into exactly this situation. And as the one who killed all of them, Erika is also able to say in red, all 5 people I killed were very much alive until the moment I killed them. All of them, even Maria, faithfully played dead right up to the moments of their death. Up to now, many witches and demons have appeared in this tale, but this is the first time we've seen a true devil. Beatrice finally understands the totality of what had occurred in this tale. Wanting to prank this inconsiderate guest who called herself a detective, several people had agreed to play dead and create fake locked-roomed murders. After all, each of the supposed victims had been found in a comfortable room of their choice. It was only because of this devil that a simple prank had become a case of genuine murder.
Okay, so big thing for me in this. Somebody calls Kyrie Battler's mother. Where's my notes? All 3 of them.
Oh, I see Lambdadelta when she's describing, like, oh, the Kyrie is Battler's mother. Like, yeah.
Yes, your mother can't save you. Ha! Mother? I mean, maybe she meant stepmother, but that's not what she said. She said, your mother, which isn't Asmu. Wait, is that the right name? Maybe. Doesn't matter. Kyrie is his mom, this Battler. So that was exciting for me, and probably only me. I did also massively warm up to Dlanor in this bit. I don't know why. Her little death rant didn't annoy me this time like it usually does. I thought it was really cute. I don't know why. Like,
She's so cute and bloodthirsty.
she was in this section, and I don't know why I've changed my mind. But yeah.
I like it. I think it's fun, but it's such a stark contrast to the rest of her character that it never fits for me. So either that's more of who she really is, and she feels the need to put on a facade of professionalism, or she is just acting out of sorts. So I guess I'll go with the latter, former.
I think she just gets excited.
I think she's always enjoyed the parts where she gets to, declare the death. That's part of her, like,
Yeah.
in the previous game, she was still also ecstatic at that part. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I would too.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of her whole reason for existence, but also she reminds me a lot of like Claudia from Interview with the Vampire, where she's perpetually in this state of like, she has a very mature mind, but she has very childish, like she's very tumultuous and can be very childish at times because she is still, for all intents and purposes, a child on some level. When she first brought out her red truth, I didn't even think of the possibility of Erika killing all of them all over again and becoming the culprit, which is pretty diabolical of her. I gotta respect it, to be honest. But my first thought was like, I thought this was why Erika had pushed Battler into saying everyone else is in the other room
Mm-hmm.
as a way of excluding, like, basically that was a way of saying everyone alive was locked in those 2 rooms. So I thought the whole reason he wouldn't have been able to have someone switch with him is because everyone was sealed away. Everyone that was still alive, anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't even consider the possibility they could still be alive and playing dead and that Erika would murder them.
Yeah, I think for everyone, they said
Yeah.
that it was they were referring to only to bodies alive or dead when they were referring to those people. So, and I think they listed those 6 as well.
I really love the twist where she became the culprit. I think that was really neat, and then admitted it herself. That was very.
It's great.
My eyes bugged out.
That's something really funny that this is the first time we have a definite murderer for the first 6. We have it in red, or at least first 5 in this case, yeah. And the fact that this all then shows that Battler the entire time was not planning on actually killing anyone, but making it look like everything
Yeah.
happened because he wanted his family and everyone else on the island to survive is just so in character for Battler.
Yeah.
That, like, it is the best thing that I saw, and then to have it ripped to fucking shreds
It's devastating.
by getting 5 of these people decapitated. When they mention that Maria had to just either sit there as her mother was decapitated or, like, just lay there quietly, like,
Well, I think
wow.
what's most likely is that she slit their throats and then cut their heads off.
Yeah, something along those lines.
So, like, a silent kill before a gruesome dismemberment.
Still, wow. Just
Yeah.
very good twist.
Yeah, agreed. It was. It made me think of when we see Maria standing against the wall singing in episode 1. Was that episode 1? Oh my god!
Yeah.
And people had been
Sure
murdered in
was.
the room with her, right? Like, what would it take for that to happen? Was one of the discussions that we had. It's like, oh well, I guess if she thought it was a game, yeah, she would probably.
We still don't know how that happened. I'm
No.
still like,
we don't. We don't. But yeah, no, I agree.
I still think about that scene and it being one of like the 2 scenes I go back to on like just how is that scene where I believe it's Genji, Kumasawa, and Nanjo in the
Correct.
room there, and then Maria
Mm.
doesn't see anything and the 3 of them die, and then how did Nanjo die in the
The 3rd game.
3rd game? Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was 3rd or 4th. Those are 2 of the biggest mysteries I still don't understand, and I'm not sure will necessarily be solved immediately upon this episode's end.
Yeah, my other big one would be the shed with the Kumasawa
yeah.
and Goda.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
that's also a good one. That's a good foil to all of them, is like none of them are the first deaths, but they're all like near the end, and it's like we're whittling down the number of people this could possibly be, we think. So how is somebody still doing the killing if it's not Battler?
Yeah.
I don't remember the details of Genji's death in the 3rd episode, but I feel like I've presented a at least not ruled out method in episode 1. Yeah.
Sorry, Genji's death in episode 3 is that he dies with all the different servants plus
He's in the chain of 6.
Kinzo in the chain locked room where they each have a key to a different room in their pockets. All of the servants die at the beginning of.
I mean, like, I don't remember the red text around.
Right.
I believe that they guarantee that they were all dead, if I'm correct.
Is it a guaranteed homicide? Is it guaranteed when they died?
I mean, I could go back and look.
No.
we can't be litigating.
Those are the things that I do not remember, and I'm saying I have to go back. But
Yeah.
the reds that we are given for episode 1 are only that the 3 who are killed there are not killers themselves. So I still maintain that one of the first Twilight was not actually killed.
Possibly.
Like that's just like the thing that it is the most clear case avenue, and like in my opinion, episode 1 is just going to end up being the easiest to solve because it's the first episode. So and it just like
There's no red truths involved. Yeah, it's just straight up classic murder mystery stuff.
yeah, exactly. So the blue truth could rip that one apart as it stands without more red pushing back against it.
But yeah, if you want to hear more about these theories, we've got a whole episode where
Yeah.
people gave
So-
their theories about stuff.
All that to say, I think we had estimated pretty early on, in maybe episode 2 or 3, that Battler would end up running a game of his own in some fashion. And when I had that thought, I'm like, how is he's not going to want to kill his family. So to then get here, it's like, yeah, of course they're all alive. And of course he's absolutely racked with grief again about it because he thought he was past all that. It was done. He, in his mind, had finally saved his family from being tortured like this. Yeah, but yet again, something I can't fully wrap my head around is how this little stick of a girl decapitates 5 people. You do not understand how fucking durable the spine of a human being is. Not just the bone, but all the shit around it.
I imagine it's probably hand waved, honestly. Like I doubt Ryukishi07 knows exactly the specifics of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but again, it's just like one of those things where it's like,
Japanese knives, Capelli. Japanese knives.
yeah, right.
True.
It's like I could present a character with the strength to do this, or I could use my kawaii, batshit insane little girl, and I'm gonna want to do that. And it's like, all right, artistic license, do what you want, but it takes me out a little bit. It's like, no, oh, I covered myself in a trash bag. That is not good enough. Let me tell you as well.
Why do you know so much about this?
Medical professional. I'm glad you asked, Kyle.
I did actually. I was like, if I'm going to listen to anyone about medical stuff, it's going to be Capelli.
Yeah.
The human body as an item is disgusting.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's probably some hand waving there to kind of make it work, which makes sense. If you're looking at it from like a mystery perspective, most mysteries don't get too much into those details. They kind of hand wave a lot of those things because like the average reader wouldn't know. In fact, more details can make the story seem less believable, right? Where if you include that stuff, then it takes the reader out of it because it's breaking what their assumptions would innately be, and then it's kind of defeating itself. Yeah.
And this story has already been said I don't have to tell you how I did it. I'm just telling you I did. And it's just basically telling the reader like, shut up, don't worry about that stuff. Be here to have fun. All right, fine, whatever.
Would it be more believable if she'd like
strung up a guillotine that hung from the ceiling or something? No, it wouldn't.
No. Instead of cut off their heads, like cut out their stomach. I don't know. Something that's in a soft, fleshy part that would be more believable.
Yeah. I think they just wanted the decapitation because like that's like iconic. Like there's no way someone survives that. Like it's a part of the whole. This is undeniable. Even a human could be assumed to prove that with that.
People have survived being shot in the head, which means they could survive being stabbed anywhere. But ain't no one surviving a decapitation.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I love this part so much. It's just so good. When I was first reading this, I was completely blindsided by this, and it blew me away. It's one of my favorite things I've ever read because it was just such a devious, evil thing to have happen. I really, really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it mostly made me think that Battle is incompetent for him to let this happen.
Well, yeah.
As well. I love Battler now, I really do. But that did definitely rise to the forefront.
He's trying his best.
It took a while, but we got there.
I mean, but also Battler being incompetent, kind of same as it ever was, you know?
Exactly, right? It's reassuring, comforting.
I think someone calls him incompetent in this reading, but I don't recall who.
Mm-hmm. Someone brings up that he's been labeled incompetent with the red. I think Beatrice the Elder, maybe?
No, it has to do with him giving Erika access to the duct tape.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of stupid move. He's just a big soft boy, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Like, tried to keep everybody alive.
He thought he was so clever.
I can understand I want us both to fight at our best. Because in part, it's a little bit of empathy. But the other part of it is like not fighting at the best has given avenues for these games to continue every fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he thought he'd solved everything. He thought he was in control of everything. As kind of Erika mentioned, like there's really theoretically no loss condition for him, right? Outside of a logic error. If the humans win, yeah. If the witches win, sure. Like both of those are valid win conditions for him. There was no way for him to lose this game theoretically, except this.
Good job, Bob.
It's also just, I think this was in the last reading and I wasn't here for that recording, but I thought him giving her the duct tape at the time was really sweet because I liked the whole, like, I still don't want to see Erika, like, thrust into oblivion because fuck Bernkastel for real with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Battler being like, we're enemies on the game board, but we have to trust each other as players. And it's like, he's essentially being like, I want to be a good sport. We should be good sports to each other. And then when it's revealed, they're like, haha, he thanks everybody for playing along with me so I could con him into giving me my special trick back. I was just like, Erika is not ready to unionize with Battler as players against these witches, which was so disappointing. But I still, like, that's the other thing too, is like, I still don't want to see her get fucked over because it sucks the position that she's in too. So I wanted on some level for them to be on the level, and her not being on the level is genuinely, it really disappointed me, but it is very tastily diabolical. It's so good. That's so fucked up.
While Dlanor is sympathetic to Battler for the evils that Erika has committed against him and his family, he does still have an obligation to resolve the logic error his disappearance from the guest room now creates. Battler begins to panic, but Beatrice reminds him that while he may have lost 5 pieces that could have rescued him, there are still 11 more in the guest house. However, despite that not being how the rules of the game have worked until now, Erika somehow is able to show the status of the seals of those rooms without Battler being able to change that outcome. Referring to the seals on both doors, Gertrude and Cornelia confirm in red, "For your attention, I beg to inform you of the following. Know that neither is broken. Know that an unbroken seal is proof that all have hitherto been denied passage. It needs no second telling, but be advised that passing through without breaking the seal is impossible." Finally, Cornelia understood why Erika had made this move. With no humans to enact it, magic that affects outcomes cannot be performed. Lambdadelta reminds Battler that he has both the right to create a new thread of logic to reconstruct the locked room trick, or to come clean and admit to logic error. And while he has endless time to make that choice, he is obligated to choose one of those 2 options. Battler would attempt to think of a new trick, and so too would Beatrice. If only she had the memories of her past self, who was a master of locked room tricks. Returning to the dark guest room, Bernkastel and Erika lay out the rules for Battler's logic error. This room is a locked room, created from the inside. The seals on the windows are intact, so there can be no escape from there. Of course, there's no way to escape through the bathroom. I'll make it simple. There's no exit to escape from except for this door. However, the chain lock on this door is set. You can unset and reset it all you want, but you can only do so from the inside. Furthermore, you are free to go out through the door, but leaving while the chain lock remains unset will not count as an escape. They then mock Battler, saying that if he were to cut off enough small pieces of his body to flow down the drain, so that only his hand remained, they would graciously pull his remaining hand out for him. As the 2 of them laugh maniacally, Lambdadelta tells Battler that he will need every last bit of hatred he can hold on to retain his sanity once he is left all alone in this room for all eternity. Lambdadelta herself, a survivor of just such a scenario, still occasionally wonders if she is still stuck in that hell, and only in her insanity, imagining talking to everyone even now. As everyone slowly vanishes, Battler is left all alone in the dark, cold, silent guest room to figure out some way of escaping. Back in the witch's smoking room, Battler's been reduced to a near catatonic state. Bernkastel and Erika have already left, but Beatrice begs Lambdadelta to stay, that they will think of a new trick and resume the game shortly. However, Lambdadelta knows better. Of the many witches whose fragment they've left in a similar state in their wake, none have ever managed to resume their games. Only Lambdadelta and Bernkastel themselves were ever able to escape that hell. Beatrice asks Lambda why, if she understands the horror of that hell, would she inflict it on others, to which Lambda says that only by throwing someone else in can they reassure themselves they aren't still there. Beatrice vows with certainty that she will save Battler, and so the Witch of Certainty Lambdadelta, who once served as guardian to Beatrice's former self, offers her one last parting gift: hope. The hope that as long as she holds onto her certainty, her wish would definitely come true. After all, the old Beatrice the Endless Witch had been an avid reader of detective novels with seemingly impossible crimes. She had hit upon the ultimate single origin trick and used it to form the core of her system of magic. In the name of the Witch of Certainty Lambdadelta, she can guarantee that the old Beatrice would have been able to solve this locked room. And with that, Lambdadelta 2 leaves. And so, just as the opposite of the previous game, Beatrice is left to watch over a catatonic Battler until either of them can solve that mystery.
That's just like hurt people, you know?
That's
Mhm.
all it is. They hadn't invented therapy back in those times.
It was the 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's not quite this part, but I don't think I put it in the summary because it's kind of a long segment. That's when Lambdadelta later gives the description of how do you create a great bully. You bully them incessantly for 3 days, and then you give them power, and they'll hold over that power as if they've been tormented for eternity, always thinking that they're the victim still.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I sat with that line and try to be okay, put myself in those shoes. Would I be just as human as most other people? And it was an interesting kind of introspective to put myself through.
Yep, that's one of the recurring themes of the story, right? The Black Witch's magic is pushing your pain onto others to remove it from yourself, whereas the White Witch's magic is to
We see it most clearly with Rosa, I think.
Mhm.
And then we definitely see it with Eva. Eva definitely plays more of the victim card, whereas Rosa felt more of the self-justification. And then, it's kind of what did Kinzo do to Beatrice that she's kind of lashing out like this a little bit?
What did Battler do to Beatrice that she's lashing out like this? Yeah,
right. But now Battler is that's what Angie's whole thing. She's why is Battler not basically doing this? Right? What did he learn or remember? What is the truth that he has this complete 180 emotional connection with Beatrice that was not there before? I do not understand.
Yep.
Was it not there before, or was it just slowly developing?
I mean, there are certainly points where he was, crying, tearing of robes, gnashing of teeth, biblical just despair, and then to get to this point where, like, even where things left at the end of episode 4 or even 5, there was still like that little bit of guarded nature, that little bit of protectiveness that doesn't seem to be there at all now.
Well, it seems that Beatrice's heart may be revealed soon, so maybe we'll have more thoughts about this next time.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys what you think, like the trick that Beatrice would know if she was here, but we get a little bit more of a gleam into it, so I'll ask it at the very end.
Yeah, the trick still has some more definitions to be laid out still in the next bit of reading some. Or I should say the closed room has some more definitions to be added.
I do get a little frustrated that episode to episode, they don't always carry over, like, the questions that they carried, like, the ones that, like, yes, it might have been a year in between the making of episodes, or for us, there's a time between readings, etc. But, like, if you were looking at, like, the 5th episode for them just happened, or at least, like, time is weird, I get it, but, like, where is the gold truth in all of this? Like, Battler should have figured something out. And, like, you said that, Capelli, but, like, same thing then happens in episode 4 into 5, going from the different arcs. Like, they're fighting, they get all this thing, and then suddenly it's like, oh, now they're bestie friends. And I'm like, this just doesn't feel like a continuum. It feels like they just decided to do a spin-off story. And it's something that I do struggle with sometimes episode to episode, that it feels like we're taking too much of a genre shift.
I mean, it depends on how much you believe Hachiro Toya, right? She claims that she wrote those stories, so you could consider them like different releases of a novel.
Yeah, it's also true.
I thought it wasn't her that wrote them. I thought that other people wrote them and she wrote a story, so she's writing this one.
No, she wrote 3, 4, 5.
Oh, that's right, she didn't write 2.
She didn't write 1 or 2. 1 or 2 were the original message bottles that were found in the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And she's now writing 6.
What I come to understand about the paradigm shift is, at the end of the day, I see Battler as a deeply empathetic, still an 18-year-old,
sure,
but deeply empathetic person. And like, we see that with his willingness to accept the North Wind fable ruse in episode 3, most of all, right? And then despite that, he still has a respect for Beatrice, like, into episode 5, because at that point she's revealed more of her past, more of her nature. He can kind of see, like, he understands at the least that there's something more going on here, and he seeks the truth, not just the emotional vindication. And I think that's why, like, I love him as a character. I liked him the whole way through, a little less so with creepy comments towards cousins and all. But he's 18, and if that's what they want to write, fine, whatever. I don't have to like every aspect of somebody. But to get to this point, it's just like, I want this dude to just catch a fucking break, man. Every time I think he might have a W, it's just like ripped out from underneath him so grossly.
Yeah. Battler takes quite the L in this reading for sure. In the scenes we're about to get to, too, they're pretty gross. And to the degree where I almost want to, well, I'll give the disclaimer before we get to it, but there's definitely some, like, reader beware. Some of this description is pretty uncomfortable.
I mean, you said he's taking quite the L. I thought he was taking quite the D, so.
I've never been comfortable with the term of Erika calling herself an intellectual rapist. And this is the scene where
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Becca and Hayley haven't gotten there.
Oh, we're going too far. You're going to spoil my great lines. I have great lines in the description.
I believe you.
Oh, God.
We'll get into the penultimate scene of this is probably my favorite part of the whole segment of reading.
Okay. Yeah, this entire area, this section is just full of bangers.
Yeah.
In terms of like scenes and the music, which we'll get to more later.
I was just about to say, how have I not talked about the music? I was raving to you about the music in this. Oh my God, it's so good.
Back in the realm of Zepar and Furfur, the two demons announced that Battler has had to drop out of the contest. Beatrice, no longer eligible unless Battler's able to return in time, will have to watch on as a spectator. However, with Battler seen as his primary rival, George is eager to move this trial of love to a swift conclusion. Now that the three-way deadlock had been resolved, they're back to being able to have a straightforward duel. Beatrice, still unsure as why this trial is even necessary, needs to focus on how to get Battler out of the locked room. Beatrice the Elder appears, but she too is stumped. Only their true combined self could solve this puzzle. They will attempt to work together on it, regardless. Zepar and Furfur agree that the two of them can save Battler if they have the miracle of love on their side. We then cut back to the realm of spectating, where Angie's confused about how love could resolve a locked room mystery. Featherine says that she already has an answer in mind, and the words of those two demons further support her theory. Angie gets angry with Featherine for withholding information, and at Battler for putting himself in the situation. But Featherine just tells her to think. Thinking is not only a job for the characters within the tale. As a reader, you too have the right to enjoy thinking, and I enjoy watching as you do. Unless you think, the tale will not continue. Returning to the human world, Angie is reaching the end of the manuscript pages that Hachiko Toya had provided. Hachiko tells Angie that she wants her, the reader, to think, not just the characters in the story. And unless Angie shares her theories, she will not be allowed to read further. The answers that she has included in the tale have been written so as not to be understandable by those who fail to think.
So this is as far as I got. And the last thing I remember thinking is Zephyr and Furfur going out of their way to be like, do the Beatrices think, like, realize that we're giving them a hint by saying, the love thing, because it's all about love all the time. And the way Featherine phrases it, where she says she has an answer in mind and their words only support it, makes me think this is some kind of like misdirect or red herring, I don't know, where it wants us to think about it in a certain way and is misleading us in some way. And it would make sense in hindsight, but trying to think about it in those terms to figure it out is not going to be super helpful. And I haven't really gotten further than that, because again, this is basically where I stopped reading right before we started recording. But I don't know. I feel like there's something important here, and I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah, this is part of kind of what I was saying earlier, that like a lot of the chaff was cut out. Like earlier, the love stuff was always important, right? The question of, oh, Jen and Cannon have this brooch, and that was always a part of the story. But now we're like, okay, we're cutting all this stuff out. Now we're talking about like, now they have to duel to the death. Only one of them kind of love. Like, what is happening? Like, we're focusing on like, there is a specific problem here. Look at this. So we're kind of focusing the lens of the reader to know, like, here are the main things you need to look at if you want to figure it out.
Yeah. And the whole aspect of George calling it a zero-sum game too, about like, if they all win, then it's a zero-sum game. And I don't think that's true. I'm still with them in thinking like them all having to fight each other for one couple to be supreme is like weird. Like, it's not.
Yep, it's weird.
Okay.
Yeah, several times in the reading you haven't got to, Beatrice is like, why is it like this? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think I did see some of that, and I'm totally with her. And then the other thing that I'm thinking here is maybe the two Beatos will be able to re-enter the trial like as a team together. I don't really have a basis for thinking that, but it is a good guess, especially if they need to merge into a Beato. What self-acceptance is true love, is it not? I don't know, but like maybe that's how they merge in order and find a way to save Battler or something.
I could see that.
Yeah, I feel like you're being quite generous in hoping it's a red herring. I just got really frustrated. Like, why am I being condescended to constantly in this story?
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong to think that.
I do think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it felt like this whole read was a little bit like that.
Yeah.
This whole read was a little bit like that.
So that is definitely something that I think the story is guilty of, is the like, hey, figure it out. And the repetition aspect then means that then that part of it also gets repeated, and it can get very frustrating when it's just like, yeah, there's a good, 30 minutes of this reading where that's just like, don't you see what the answer is? Or that love it cannot be seen? And then just like, what does it mean? What does it mean? I have the answer. What do you mean? And it's a lot. I understand the frustration for sure. It's not purposeless, but I understand.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that Hayley's afraid being red text, being told she's incompetent.
No, I don't give a shit. I can be incompetent. That's fine.
That's absolutely what I'm getting from your rant here, is that you don't give a shit.
Well, no, I don't mind. Like, I know I don't know everything, so it's okay for somebody to deem me incompetent. But for me to be made to feel stupid is a different thing.
Yeah. And I want to make this clear. No one is stupid for not knowing what's happening right now. Like, the story is still very opaque.
Yeah.
And I think I would have been quite shocked if somebody came into this reading and been like, I think it's this. And it was correct. I would have been incredibly shocked. Next week, though, we'll be finishing episode 6. And
next week, if you don't figure it out, you're a fucking idiot. Gotcha, Kyle.
No,
Thank you.
No, what I would say is that next week, I think we will figure it out together.
Okay.
That'll be fun. I look forward to it.
I think collectively, y'all will hit on some stuff. Because that's when, like, the real, like, the big hint gets dropped. That, like, there's a lot of stuff they're saying here. And again, even then, like, they're going to give you something, and we'll still have to kind of unpack some of the stuff they said previously to, like, figure out what they meant by it, but we'll have the tools finally.
Okay, you need to be our shepherd, Kyle.
I have theories.
I paused the reading at this point, and my message to Kyle was like, well, obviously you need love to spell solve. It's like, okay. We're so
That's
salty.
very good.
Got him.
That's
Got 'em.
very good.
Haley, love, plural, loves, solve. It's an anagram.
Solve.
Multiple loves. All of their loves are valid. We solved
That's it. You've solved the epitaph.
You loves the epitaph. Really, this is all just one big propaganda for polyamory, is what I'm hearing. So
Yes.
I don't. All right.
It solves
I
all
don't
relationship problems, I hear, yeah.
I don't think there's any character in this that's polyamorous.
nope, but multiple loves solve all.
I get you.
Mhm.
Although,
Yeah.
ironically, like, based on what we're seeing, polyamory would have no use because that's not the problem, right? As Beatrice the Elder says, usually love duels happen because there is a love triangle. She's never seen one where it's two couples that seem completely unrelated somehow have to choose one of them only. And that's part of the big mystery.
Yeah.
So-
It's so weird.
Which, again, the rationale is why is because I told you so.
They've said that there's some kind of magic, and that magic is somehow important to figuring out Beatrice's whole deal. So,
All right. You know what I'm going to look forward to?
Mhm.
Is normally when I finish these long, great narratives, I then go online, be like, okay, what have people said? Like, what are some common theories? So I can start like fitting, what like comparing what I have come to realize to what
Mhm.
other people have thought of. I don't have to do that this time because Kyle is just going to tell us what the internet thinks.
man, there's a lot of theories about a lot of this stuff. but-
Yeah.
So we'll see when we get to it.
That spoiler thread still beckons to me like the Green Goblin mask.
Oh my God. Tell me about it.
There's less messages in there than I think there are, even though I have seen the message count. It feels like it's like what 120 or something. It feels like it should be much bigger than that.
Yeah, it's not that much.
I feel like I have a good theory for how Battler could escape this room, why he doesn't want to do it, and all the implications it could be if I'm right. And if it is what I think, there is a world where my very, 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 very first suspect is not just a suspect, and I think that's delightful to think about. But I'll get into that more when we get to the end of the section that I really want to get to.
Let's get this summary out, and then we can talk some theories. In the Witch's Cathedral, Erika is basking in the afterglow of her victory against Battler. Lambdadelta appears, and, much like she did at the end of the last game, congratulates Erika. Erika, having overheard what Lambdadelta told Battler before he was sealed up in the logic error, asks her about the hell that she had been trapped in. Seemingly unflustered, despite Erika's attempt to get a rise out of her, Lambda confirms that she, as well as Bernkastel, have experienced something just like that. Although in Bern's case, she hadn't even been the game master of the game, and had been forced to search endlessly for a random solution to a game with no purpose. It's one thing to persevere through a trial that has a fixed end. Each step inexorably moves you closer to your goal. But if instead each attempt had a chance of success, then you could go on endlessly, due to nothing but bad luck. It's the difference between having to get 99 woodcutting and having to actually obtain the beaver woodcutting pet to unlock your next chunk in an extreme one-chunk Iron Man in old school RuneScape. If you know, you know.
I do not know.
I'm sorry, hold on. Let's stop.
What? I was like, hold on. That's not what was said in this section. I did read this bit.
No, this is not in the section. They used a monkey and a typewriter analogy, which that analogy is so tired. So instead, I am using the much updated version of comparing having to get 99 woodcutting versus having to unlock the beaver woodcutting pet to unlock your next chunk as an extreme one-chunk Iron Man in old school RuneScape. It perfectly tracks.
Uh-huh.
I didn't play RuneScape. Sorry.
So actually, it is very interesting. So one-chunk Iron Mans are basically they're like a challenge account where like you can't go to different parts of RuneScape unless you've done everything that can be done in that area. And certain things is like, oh, you can chop trees here, or like you can do other things. You have to get to a certain like level or whatever. Whenever you woodcut, there's like a chance that a little beaver pet appears, but it's like a 1 in 10,000 chance or whatever every time you cut down a tree. So it's like you just have to do forever if that's one of your goals for continuing. You have to continue to do that over and over again with no hope of actually getting it unless it just happens randomly.
Oh my God, this is so on the nose. You're right, because I feel like that's the way we are treated through this whole thing. You have to go through. You got to go through to get to whatever it is. Yeah, the solution.
Whereas if you had to like just get to level 99 in woodcutting, you could just do it. Like it's a fixed ending thing. You just have to just keep at it a certain amount of time, guaranteed. It fits. Anyway, Bernkastel had only been able to escape her meme grind hell because she had been able to manifest that miracle. However, that hell was still so long and harsh that it broke her and turned her into a heartless witch and bully. Erika tries to equate her own suffering as the Witch of Truth to theirs, and Lambdadelta graciously lets her comment pass as a gift for her victory. When Bernkastel herself arrives and Erika mentions that they were discussing her past, Bern likewise allows Erika to continue to live as a gift. Seeing her master's inability to withstand the truth of her past suffering, Erika feels disdain for her for the first time. Regardless, Bernkastel has come to give Erika a present for her victory. Not only will Bernkastel be acknowledging Erika's ascension as a true witch, no longer just a temporary witch of truth, she will also be gifting her Battler himself. By having Erika marry Battler, she will inherit his position as territory lord. Erika delights the prospect of getting to be the one stealing someone else's love this time. Bernkastel and Lambdadelta leave to go handle the wedding preparations, and Erika taunts Battler with all the ways he will defile him in his new locked room of marriage. I didn't write that. The book said that. That's a line from it. Don't get mad at me about how cheesy that is.
Yeah, it was very cheesy. So this is where I got up to. I think I just saw the next bit, like the beginning of the next bit, but didn't get through the whole scene that you've got laid out. And this is what Capelli was alluding to earlier on. I did actually, it's funny because I think if I'd have finished this reading, I might have had a better opinion of it at the beginning of this recording, because this was now starting to feel more like my style and things that I was interested in. I was like, God damn it, Hayley, why do you procrastinate all the time? But this had a lot to say, but it was nice and subtle in the way it was saying it. Well, not subtle, it wasn't subtle at all, but it had a lot to say but didn't repeat it a million times to get the point across about, how you can't really truly be happy unless you confront the truth of, if we want to use like trauma, whether big T or little t, until you confront, your own truth, you're probably going to inflict some kind of misery on other people, whether it's deliberately or not. And I thought that was, I want to say nice, but that's such a bad word to describe this. I think this conversation was interesting and valid look at humanity via witches. There we go.
Yeah, it's almost like they're a metaphor or something. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I didn't really click with me the significance of the wedding itself, like as an analogy, when it's just like, oh, in context with these conversations about Bernkastel and Lambdadelta's past and being trapped in a hell, and okay, what do we know about Erika's past, which is that she was part of a relationship that was toxic in either direction or both directions, and she feels the victim through it. And so to then go and force somebody into a marriage for your own personal gain and for you to be gleeful at their loss and despair is so repugnant and just vile that it's just like, yeah, I'm glad I never said I liked Erika, because this would be like a big hit to like this is, like what they just said, she has suffered for who knew how long and then was given the power to make that happen to somebody else. And, when people go through these sorts of dilemmas to any varying degree, it doesn't have to be quite so final on somebody, but you do it as a defense mechanism to lash out, to be like, if I am in control of this and doing it to somebody else, then I am safe from it ever happening to me again, which is how you get a lot of people who are just toxic in relationships themselves.
Yeah.
It makes the final scene all the more tragic.
This really, especially after she was just judging Bernkastel for that very thing that she is then doing. It's like, man, come on.
Such a massive hypocrite.
You're the worst. I thought that the Ushiromiyas were the worst. All of them. But no, I think, well, maybe Bernkastel's truly the worst, but Erika is the worst.
Well, you know what the Ushiromiyas have that these witches don't? I won't say it, but it starts with the letter L.
Lambdadelta.
No, the Ushiromiyas do not have Lambdadelta.
True. She keeps winning, though. Like, every time we get to a thing where like we see some of their backstory, it's like, man, Lambdadelta is just like so much better than everyone else.
Truthfully, this part actually did make me respect Lambdadelta a little bit. I was like, shit, she's actually the one, seemingly like the one person with a level of self-awareness in terms of like the witch crew, which I respect. It's really funny how much of a 180 I've done on the two of them from the beginning, because when they first showed up, I was like, I hate this little pink girl and I love Bernkastel. And now I'm like, Bernkastel can die in a ditch. Lambda, respect.
I mean, I still don't really respect, because just be like, it doesn't make it better for you to be like, I understand that what I'm doing is messed up, but I have to do it because I can't cope.
I don't think she's like a good person or fully healed, but she at least isn't in denial about it, which is the first step. Acceptance. Well, no, that's really way far down the line, but like recognizing that you have a problem.
Yeah, she's recognized she has an issue.
She does seem to be the one capable of self-reflection, which means she is capable of healing and self-forgiveness and receiving forgiveness and asking for forgiveness. But until that happens, they are still in bliss at other people's side.
Mm.
There was an analogy I heard when I was real little. I'll preface it a little bit to say this was said in my Bible class when I was in my private school way back when. But it's still a thing that holds true with like in context of like rehab and therapy and stuff, which is if I'm standing next to you and you're standing on a chair and you try to pull me up and I try to pull you down, I'm going to win 99% of those, if not every single one. It is always easier to pull people down rather than to pull people up. So for all these witches to be around each other and they are pulling other people down, and the instant any one of them tries to show a hint of empathy, a hint of understanding, they rip each other to shreds. And there's plenty of times where like Bernkastel will say something open-ended and Lambdadelta will be like, "You're not trying to be nice to them, are you?" And she's like, "Don't be a fucking idiot. Of course I'm not." But even if she was, like that sort of peer pressure, like that's why toxic people around other toxic people will never come out of it better for themselves. That's why I've never really liked any one of these characters, because their motivations, what they enjoy out of this is just gross. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's getting to a point where like I'm not going to be convinced that where these characters have been within the scope of this story is misunderstood, but that's not to say that they can't grow past it, which is what I'm hoping.
Is Battler literally the only selfless one? Like, he's trying to protect everybody. I'm wondering.
Angie.
I don't know if she's protecting everybody, but she is acting understanding that she herself will not reap the benefits of what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's kind of the definition of selfless.
Yeah.
But the other thing, with Lambda specifically, we have seen her get emotionally invested in these games in a way where, like, even the part where Dlanor starts using the red truth to strike down Battler's possibility because Lambda had ruled it, like, impartially as a potential solution, she was, like, as shocked and appalled as Battler was almost. But I don't know. Maybe it's just my bleeding heart, but I still tend to have empathy for the evil ones, even when they're unrepentantly evil. I don't know. There's something about it. Even Burn, on some level, like, I still hate her, but there's still the part of me that's like, I understand why you are the way that you are. Does that excuse why that you are the way that you are? No, of course not. But
I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I get it.
I would like for there to be a world where they can all be happy and not miserably trying to just avoid hell flashbacks forever. But
I mean, let's assume, right, for a thought experiment that these are real people, maybe not doing these like magical meta things, but these are real people who think and act in this way. The vast, vast majority of them are never going to find some sort of health or healing or anything.
yeah, but that's the thing. They're not real people.
But what I'm saying, they won't ever achieve that without somebody like you having that kind of mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I hold grace for people like that.
I believe in restorative justice, not punitive justice.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. We have to hold. Okay, somebody has to hold some kind of space for some people if we actually want people to change for the better. Doesn't always have to be you. I think it's totally valid to want to cut these people off, but
Sorry,
I
you used
do
the phrase holding
feel-
space, and then you mentioned forgiveness. I was like, my wicked brain was activated.
Trust me, that's all I could think about, Kyle. I was like, I have been changed. That's all I could think about.
It's like the Barbie Barbenheimer summer, right? Of a couple years ago. It's the wicked wake up dead man right now.
Yes. Boy, we have to schedule a whole separate podcast to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, don't bring up Wake Up Dead Man, because we're going to turn this into a whole other podcast if we do.
Yeah. No, we got
So
more
good.
to get through yet.
Yeah,
So
we still got
good.
some more to go. Let's get back to it. Back in Zephyr and Furfur's realm, Beatrice is informed of Battler's impending marriage. Unless she can free his mind from that locked room and recover his agency, he'll be unable to dissolve the marriage contract being enforced upon him by the Great Witches of the Senate. Once again, it all comes down to the locked room. Beatrice the Elder beseeches Zephyr and Furfur for hints, but all they say is that they are constantly giving hints. Without love, they cannot be seen. Though perhaps by staying and spectating the fight between the remaining lovers, they can learn something of the love they need. While Beatrice the Elder continues to be frustrated by their vagaries, Chick Beatrice takes their advice seriously and watches on as the remaining pair of lovers decides how they will settle their trial, a one-on-one duel between Shannon and Cannon. While George and Jessica lament not being able to fight themselves, this is something that Shannon and Cannon are adamant that they need to resolve between the two of them. With that decided, Zephyr and Furfur summon a pair of magical antique dueling pistols, and everyone is moved to the Golden Land. Beatrice the Elder comments that while she has seen many duels of love in the past, they've always been for two people in love with the same person, not a pair of lovers fighting another pair of lovers. Chick Beatrice suspects this must be because of the necessity of the miracle of magic, but Beatrice the Elder reminds us that the minimum number of people needed to create a universe is 2. With Shannon and Cannon ready for their duel, Zephyr and Furfur must decide the number of steps they will need to take. The number they decide on is one that has been repeated many times throughout this tale. 19. The supposed 19th person on the island, the length of time leading to this inevitable day, and the age of the true territory lord of this world. As Shannon and Cannon stand back to back, prepared to begin their duel, they give thanks to one another and lament the circumstances of their birth, their father's sin. Let him die, let them all die, and when they do, very soon, they will all then revive and be freed from their cages. Today, October 5th, 1986, is the fated day that one, or perhaps even both of them, will die. But even then, their loves will surely be made complete. To each of them, the other is just in the way. But why? Why must this day come for this pair? Bonded not by romantic love, but almost as that of real siblings. It is a great mystery, just as much so as why watching this is the key for Beatrice to solve Battler's locked room.
I hadn't realized until now, but 19, as a wheel.
Yeah.
I was surprised it was 19. I thought it was going to be 18. So I'm like, oh God, what all have I been missing?
Yeah.
I feel like there were so many clues given in that last paragraph, like those
Right.
last few
Mhm.
lines, and I just can't make heads or tails of them at all.
We've got the man from 19 years ago. We've got Battler's conception, however many Battlers there are. We've
There's
got
19 battlers. All the pieces are battlers.
this is all just he's been in a coma for 19 years and this is what happened. Yeah.
What if Cannon and Shannon are bastard children of Kinzo and someone, and they are the murderers? I don't know. I'm just whipping random shit out of thin air right now because, like Ben said, those last few lines are crazy.
I love it. I could go for it.
I mean, yeah, they say some wild shit in that last part.
I don't think that it's that weird to think that Kinzo could be their father somehow.
No.
Like, I just don't think that's that. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I don't think that that part is that weird. But, like, all of what they just said, who the fuck is their father? Why has their father sinned? Like, I'm just going to kind of ask some questions and see if we can pick any of these apart.
We just don't know enough about the Fukushima house. How I can't remember the exact pronunciation.
Fukuin.
Fukuin, yeah. All right, sorry, Ben.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I mean, that's part of it is like, should we have gotten these clues already that should answer any of these questions? Or are these the first time that we're hearing about their father's sin, that one of them must die?
I don't think it's been said, yeah.
This is the first illusion we've gotten that they could be literal siblings and not just adopted siblings.
Yeah, it's been hinted at,
Yeah.
but never confirmed one way or the other.
This is the first hint we've gotten that they are even biological siblings at all. It has only ever been implied to be
Yeah.
adopted.
They've said that they are not siblings. Yeah.
Yeah, they deliberately said it before that they are not actual siblings. They're siblings of, of circumstance.
Then what does their father's sin mean?
Fuck knows. Kinzo. Kinzo.
And I could confirm that it doesn't say fathers is, it says fathers in the text.
Yeah.
The only other sin that's ever referenced is battlers.
Yeah.
Is Battler their dad? And it's actually a
Mm.
40-year-old man perving on his cousin.
He just has the best skincare routine you've ever seen in your life.
I mean, he's just lived a charmed life. Like, people don't tend to, age quite as viciously if they have an easy life.
Yeah, it's true. I want to simp for Shannon just a little bit because, like, the mentality of, like, I have basically been courting my now fiance for 5 or more years, and I'm willing to give that up if it means that my brother, who I love deeply, gets a chance at love too. But this little bitch has been dancing around it for the same amount of time and has only now done anything about it, and I might lose all of it because of that. I'd have a hard time with that. She is just unconditional love to her brother, and I think that's very sweet.
Is that how that reads when you're reading it? Because that's not how I feel having heard the summary of it.
The read of basically every interaction between the two of them in this episode, that is how I see their relationship.
She's always been very supportive of them. She's always rooting for him, which I think is very big sister of her. I love their relationship so much. It is It is a bummer that I kind of love the concept of them having to duel to the death, but I hate the tragedy of it. But that's why it's so
Yeah.
delicious.
Very Shakespearean. Very Shakespearean. I believe the relationship of the two of them as siblings way more than I buy the relationship between Shannon and George and Jessica and Cannon.
As siblings? Yeah, that's fair. It'd be weird if they were siblings.
Yeah.
No. I buy them as siblings much more than I believe. Like
I
I
know,
buy
I know.
either of them as their relationship. I've just never felt like the chemistry was there. I've never believed it.
Mm-mm.
It's just not very well written romance, which is crazy because like all of the adults I totally buy into. So it's like why did this relationship just not land for me?
Sure.
Ben, you've really got me thinking, like, how do we pick apart each of these?
Yeah, to be fair, like some of these are more summaries of what was said than what was literally said, so I recommend you look to the text for some of this. But yes, ideally you should be able to look at the summaries and get the gist of it.
Yeah, but the summaries still get to the key parts of the questions of the things that were asked. Like,
Hopefully that is
Why-
the intent of them.
I think what Kyle's saying is the devil's in the details, and the details aren't present in his summary.
but like, let's exercise the devil from the details and just put the devil on screen, please.
Kyle,
Mm,
if you would, please flash an image of yourself on the podcast.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Oh my god, oh, it's so terrifying.
yeah, it's gonna be my face pasted onto like the George Costanza image. Yeah.
I am looking forward to reading the rest of this now.
What's a George Costanza?
Is there anything else I had to say about this? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, this might be one that you'll need to unpack. Well, again, we'll probably come back to a lot of this stuff after we get some of the big reveals to unpack some of these things, maybe.
Yeah, so this is the last we see of them in this reading.
Mhm.
So I can ask, what do y'all think is going to happen here
What, with the duel?
with the duel? Yeah,
Do you think there'll be a winner, and who do you think it'll be?
I have a theory.
I don't think there's any winners in this game called Umineko.
Incorrect.
Fair.
The seagulls got away.
Well, yeah.
They lost their
They're
home.
crying, though.
got
Like, they didn't
destroyed.
even win. Yes.
Tell us your theory, Capelli.
I think the main character is going to come out on top, and the only way that happens with the current state of affairs is that Shannon and Cannon kill each other, which is just
Okay.
what I think is going to happen.
Who is the main character to you?
Battler and Beatrice.
You think they're going to come out on top? Are you kidding? I think they're going to come out the shitty end of all of it.
I don't think they're coming out at all. No, like I already have a clear. God, I don't want to say I have a clear image. I already have an idea thematically of how this whole story is going to end, which is that in episode 8, you're going to have a moment of decisions going to have to happen between Battler and Beatrice. Probably a Battler's decision to be like, do I accept her and and embrace love at the cost of something, or do I deny magic and kill her to save something else like his family or something like that? Like that's where the story is coming in. Like everything's about love, and it's going to be, okay, well, what love is most important to you, and how do you get to that part of the story? Well, if they lose here, their love is damned, and that cannot happen for the narrative to continue for 2 more episodes. So that means his cousins and the servants, like, they are not going to get the happiness that they want. And despite the wibbly wobbly timey wiminess of the board, the themes have been consistent. And so I truly do think whoever loses this, they are not going to get their happily ever after.
Well, we shall see.
The music for this part, also a fucking banger.
Oh, yeah. There's like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 just absolute bangers back to back in these segments.
I missed one, actually. I actually missed the name of this song when I was messaging you. But yeah, I messaged you every other time a song came on that was incredible. I'm like, how do they fucking do it? Who is the composer for this game? Because geez Louise.
I know Zaki did some of the stuff, but I know there's another person that did some of the more orchestral stuff. But I do not know that off the top of my head. We then return to the Witch's Cathedral, beautifully decorated for the wedding between the Territory Lord, Shermia Battler, and his wife-to-be, Lady Erika. We finally get to hear the best song in the game, and my ringtone, Birth of a New Witch instrumental. Renove, Virgilia, and Gap are all in attendance, hoping that Beatrice will be able to convince Zephyr and Furfur to grant their power and aid. Gap, a closed-room specialist, confirms that the only way to escape is to have someone replace Battler in that room, and so the real locked rooms they must break open are the ones in the guest house. However, Dlanor, wearing glasses to show the time has passed, appears along with Gertrude and Cornelia. They offer to reconstruct the scene in order to show Gap's group that there is no hope of escape. On recreating the rooms, Gap points out that just because the room was sealed, it does not actually prevent anyone from entering or exiting. The seals only guarantee the locked room status while they are all completely intact. When Erika had shown the status of the seals at the time of the logic error, she had only shown the seals and the doors were still intact. With the status of the window seals unverified, anyone in either of the rooms could have slipped out. When Dlanor attempts to leave without responding, Gap forces her hand with the blue. It is possible for Cannon to save Battler. After Erika sealed the room, he left by the window, switched places with Battler-kun in the guest room, and set the chain lock, and hid in the closet. Dlanor immediately strikes back with the red. That is impossible. The seals in the window were also intact. Of course, this is at the time of the logic error. Gap asks why they didn't just say so earlier. Dlanor reveals that they had hoped to bait Beatrice into believing that she had the solution, so they could strike her down if she appeared here at the wedding. However, Gap refuses to be fooled by Delanor's red truth, and presses again with the blue. We were talking about the seals blocking Cannon, the ones on the window of the cousin's room, right? Then what about the windows on the next room over? All you've done is show that the rescue would have been possible for Cannon. There is still a chance for the humans in the next room over. Unfortunately, though, before Dlanor can respond, the Chester sisters, serving as security for the wedding, intervene to check everyone's invitations. While Gap does have one, it is yet to be stamped at the reception desk, and so she is hauled away. And unfortunately, due to administrative nonsense, and definitely not Ryukushi's 07, Hachijo Toya writing themselves into a corner, Dlanor refuses to respond, and bans that blue from being used in further arguments. Corson and Cornelia give the following reds. Know that it is forbidden for the blue truth to be used as a basis of the argument that the window seals in the next room over were torn at the time of the logic error. Be advised that there can be no obligation to provide an answer to said blue truth. In the realm of spectating, even Angie and Featherine are incensed at what would seem to be the correct answer being forbidden in an argument. However, as Featherine says, one could look at this as proof that there must exist some other valid solution that doesn't involve the window seals. Featherine suspects that whoever is burdened with having to explain that mystery will lose the game. And for Battler to shift that responsibility onto Erika might require him to reveal part of Beatrice's heart. Very soon, the greatest mystery of this tale is likely to be revealed.
That was my favorite part.
Okay, I don't think I'm sleeping tonight because I'm going to have to immediately go and read this just based on your summary there, Kyle. Oh my god. So, first of all, Gap is now my favorite character.
Right?
Gap is great, yeah.
Just based on that alone. Oh my god. Like, she's like saying everything that we were saying earlier. This is bullshit. Like, why didn't you just say it at the time it happened and then gets hauled off for it?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. I don't even know what to make of any of this.
They clearly said all of this is a trap for Beatrice. Like, that's why she won't say more.
Yeah, but oh my god. I need to go and read these specific words.
Anytime I get a scene that's like all furniture, I think those are just like my favorite character interactions. I love watching Genji and Gop and Virgilia just kind of like snicker and kind of talk to themselves, and they look over at the angels, whatever, with Dlanor and the rest. I'm just like, God, I could totally see how this plays out in anime or something. It plays in my head so seamlessly.
We'll have to, because we're never getting an anime adaptation of this. We need 3 more Higurashi animes before we'll get another Umineko one.
Not if we just make it ourselves.
Oh.
I can draw bad stick figures.
Yeah.
I really like the implication here that Gap can just show up and provoke Dlanor into like providing more information with the red truth. Like, she can just show up and use the blue to poke her into doing it, because I feel like Dlanor as a character doesn't have the same kind of like hesitation, or what am I trying to say? Like, I'm trying to say like scheming, but
yeah. She's not going to like hold back information as a strategy.
Yes, she's not going to hold back information as a strategy. If she is asked a question or like presented with a thing that she needs to rebut, she's going to automatically, based on the information that she has, do that, because I feel like it's like her function almost as a piece. It's more reactionary. It's less calculated, more reactionary. And I like that Gap is just, yeah, this fucking rules. This is so cool of her to crash the wedding and be like, I'm going to see what I can kind of dig up to help our side here.
I do want to talk a bit more about the implication of that red versus blue, but I want to get through this last paragraph and then talk about it at the very end.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's wrap this up. So yeah, this is the part that I said a trigger warning for rape, I guess, because this is
I think it kind of, yeah.
It's pretty gross.
It's more than just implied.
It's emotionally
it's
sensitive,
terrifying,
to say the least.
Yeah. Nothing actually happens, but it is an implication.
This last scene's awful.
Yeah.
It is the thing that turned me off from this reading, like, the most.
Yeah, it's quite the ending, for sure.
Oh boy.
Returning to the wedding, the bride and groom have arrived. The entire squadron of Chester sisters are on lookout for Beatrice breaking in to disrupt the wedding. Bernkastel and Lambdadelta watch on from the balcony, certain that Beatrice will make an appearance eventually. Bernkastel asks Lambdadelta if, having seen behind the GM screen, she knows of any way Battler could possibly escape, and while Lambda confirms that such a method does exist, Bern bets that Battler will be unwilling to use a move that would expose Beatrice's heart. Meanwhile, Virgilia attempts to get to Battler to at least inform him of the potential weakness of the window seals, but is unable to do so. She and Ronove have to hope that Beatrice will be able to save him. Finally, Erika finishes, pulling the comatose Battler down the aisle, and the ceremony can begin. With Battler unable to speak, Erika makes vows for the both of them. When it comes time to exchange rings, Battler can barely manage to tell her to go to hell. Of course, though, they're already there. Taking the signet ring of the Territory Lord from Battler's hand and placing it under her own, Erika then presents the ring that she has brought, a cold, hard diamond ring of dominance, with spikes on the inside of the band to make it impossible to remove. It would seal away Battler's body, heart, and soul for all eternity and leave him as Erika's puppet. Erika then explains to Battler her plans for him, unsatisfied with merely being an intellectual rapist, and tells him that if he wants to bite off his tongue, now is his last chance. But Battler still refuses to give up hope of escaping the locked room. In a really grotesque scene, Erika forces the too small ring onto Battler's finger. Just before she activates the mechanism that would deploy the spikes, though, she offers to let Battler beg and swear himself to her instead. However, Battler uses the last of his strength to tell Erika off, that he will never forgive her for defiling Beato's ring. And so Erika activates the spikes, and Battler lets out a voiceless scream. His howl had no voice, and it could be heard by no one. However, it still rang out throughout the cathedral. And that is where we'll stop for this week's reading.
To summarize what you just did, Kyle, in a really grotesque scene does not do how grotesque it was justice.
Yeah, it's full of lines that are literally the kind of thing someone would say if they're raping somebody, using her spit as lubricant. It's all really gross.
It's really bad. I felt very bad about this, and I'm a very sex positive person just in real life, but this felt out of place and overall too much.
Yeah, and I'd forgotten how bad it was. It's one of those things I kind of just forgot how gross it is, and I probably would have warned y'all if I'd remembered that the scene was what happens at the very end. I'd have been like, yeah.
Yeah, and
I didn't need a trigger warning.
That's fair. I mean, the warning is there in case it's needed, not as a, it's fine if you don't need it.
Yeah, once again, to throw another wrench into it, how much of these witches are just projecting, which makes you wonder what sort of shit Erika has been through herself.
Yeah, just a lot.
Which doesn't justify none of it. It's just, here's another layer.
But yes, as they say, next time we will be getting to the end of episode 6, and they will be revealing some of Beato's heart, potentially. As I kind of said, this is the last reading before, if you wanted to just kind of raw spit out theories before there's really something to really chew on. As I said, I think in the next episode we're gonna get down and possibly not solve everything, but I think we will figure out what the heart that they're talking about means.
Mm.
All right. So I obviously don't know what the heart of everything is, but what we can know is that, right, if one of the humans has to be responsible, part of whatever, that would reveal part of Beatrice's heart to get out of this room, which has the risk of killing her, which he doesn't want to do, even though he promised her he'd do it. Emotions, blah, blah, blah. So we've got people divided into 2 rooms. So in the cousins' room, you got Kraus, Rudolph, Jessica, Genji, Cannon, and Goda. And in the next room over, you've got Hideyoshi, George, Shanna, Kumasawa, Nanjo, and Erika. Erika leaves her room, and in the back and forth between Dlanor and Gop, basically we confirm that those 5 people are locked in that room. All right, so that's, again, Hideyoshi, George, Shannon, Kumasawa, Nanjo.
Yeah. We get the read that the seals on the windows are intact, and since the seals on the doors were also said to be intact, it would be quite difficult to escape, yes.
So if we look at the other 6, Kraus, Rudolph, Jessica, Genji, Cannon, and Goda, the key is going to be one or more of those people. And what other puzzle do we have that leans into this is going to be the sheeps and wolves.
Okay.
So the wolves likely outnumber the sheeps in this instance. Maybe it's a tie. I don't quite know how to categorize George with his, devotion to Shannon. But you've got, not George, Jessica the Cannon is what I meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
So Kraus, Rudolph, Jessica, Genji, Cannon, and Goda, of course, looking straight at the servants, Genji, Cannon, Goda. I suspected Genji. Very first person I suspected. And in our recap episode, that is the person who I still found myself looking at the closest. So when I was messaging Kyle about it, I'm like, I gave a bunch of theories right before getting to the Gop Dlanor fight, which I was very happy to see. A lot of what I said was actually used by Gop as potential.
Yeah.
thought process. Now, is that because I missed the fact that she put tape on the windows? Who's to say? But knowing that those people could feasibly have gotten out and been around, right? Because everybody else, like, I'm like, why? Like, what is the significance going to be of everybody else was in the other room? Means that you can't say that there's a person of another name, that there's, somebody hiding. No, it's like everybody else is in that room, which we now have confirmed is locked. So that forces us to look at those 6 people.
Did those 6 ever die on the first Twilight together?
Together? No.
I don't believe Kraus and Jessica have ever died together.
That sounds right.
Same with Genji, Cannon, and Goda. At least one of them has always survived the first Twilight.
I mean, I think if we're going to categorize them as wolves and sheep, I think the wolves are Genji and Cannon. I don't think Goda is. He was hired by Kraus.
That's who he
was the point that was made.
Wait, hold on. Can you repeat that, Capelli?
What? I said a lot of stuff.
Who survives the first Twilight?
We've never seen Kraus and Jessica die together.
Correct.
And we've never seen Genji, Cannon, and Goda all die together either.
Incorrect.
One of those 3 has always...
Episode 3. All of the servants die.
Even Goda? I thought Goda survives that.
No. It's all 5 servants plus Kenzo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, be that as it may. Even Kumasawa? Kumasawa survives.
No.
She's the last of the 6 in the first Twilight, which is when we get the scene with the towers and stuff. My point being, the end of episode 2, right? Like, they all go to the cathedral. Genji stays behind, and then you end up with Goda, Shannon, and George, and then they're all killed. So for there to be wolves that outnumber, 2 of those people have to be wolves. One's got to be Shannon, and then is it George betrayed, or is it the 2 of them turning on Goda? Goda being the person at the door when Beatrice got through leads me to believe that he just opened the door.
Okay. Yeah, that's good use of the white text.
If Goda is an accomplice, he is the best actor of all of them. But like, even in this episode, Erika says he's the perfect person to find the first bodies. Which you could even say is her trying to gleam a little bit of, I kind of understand what they're doing. Something's up. They're trying to fool me. So no, I don't completely trust Goda either. I could keep just like shooting out some crazy theories. Does anybody else want to turn at saying some crockpot shit?
I mean, I've thrown out a few random out-of-pocket theories over the course of this whole episode. Especially because I haven't gotten fully to the end of this yet. I need more time to noodle.
Yeah. So I would say before you start the next reading, I would say jot down some thoughts, and then we can always put them in the Discord. Once we get to that episode, of course, we're releasing these, staggered from when we record them, but you can throw them in the Discord for people to see your thoughts there at least. Right. Well, next time we are reading about 3 hours of the VN, finishing off episode 6, Dawn of the Golden Witch, as well as the Tea Party and question mark segments. That is videos 108 through 110 of the YouTube playlist. That'll be the end of episode 6. That'll be the end of a lot of things, and the beginning of a lot of things.
75%.
Yep. And it might be the end of some of y'all's confusion about several things.
God, I hope so.
I only wonder how much can be revealed in such a short amount of time. Although I guess it's a long amount of time as well.
I feel like we got so much information in this reading. Like, I know a lot of it was repetitive, but it really confirmed a lot of things and threw a lot of new stuff at us.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
There's going to be a lot of going back to being like, oh.
Next week's episodes might be, the recording for that one might be 5 hours long. It's you can't leave until you figure out the core secret.
Oh my God.
Wow.
You are locked in a room.
Yeah.
You cannot escape.
This is the new Final Destination movie. No, Saw.
I can't-
Sorry, Saw. I was thinking Saw.
Yep. So message me in chat as you're reading stuff like that, because I would very much love for y'all to come to that conversation kind of prepared with some thoughts, because as I said before, I recommend not going into episode 7 without at least having figured out the big reveal that has happened at the end of episode 6, what it means.
So without having figured out what it means, right?
Yeah.
Not without having...
You don't have to solve everything.
So we don't need to figure it out now. It's just as we read the next part.
Yeah. Figuring it out now is unlikely. Yeah, so...
Try and figure it out before we embark on 7.0.
Yeah, read the next part,
Okay.
put some theories, send them to me. I can workshop some stuff with you. And I'm hoping that through the conversations that we'll have during that recording, things will be revealed. If not, I'll figure out what the fuck I'm going to do to make that work.
Can't wait.
We didn't spend near enough time talking about the music from this. Every scene has a new song.
Yeah, there's so many good songs.
Alive. What was the one that you specifically called that? It's your ringtone.
Birth of a New Witch instrumental.
God, that was so good.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, that's the one that plays when you first get to the wedding. So y'all will
Yeah.
know it because it's so good. Unlike anything else.
I mean, just like there's like 5 or 6 songs that just pop in this reading for the first time, and I was just awestruck by just how beautiful it fits the scenes, how good it is, the quality that they have. Gosh, I wish there was a way to do a podcast all about the music, but I feel like DMCA would not appreciate.
I mean, no one is looking to copyright strike, I feel like, anything in Umineko. I just don't think there's the will for that. All right, well, y'all are now free to go in and read the end of 6.
Let's go.
Good luck. Enjoy.
Do I need to have solved the epitaph before we
No.
start 7?
There is I believe the explicit solution to the epitaph is given in the middle of 7. I will warn you ahead of time before the actual, if you want more time, obviously. If you really want to really try and solve it, I'll give you like heads up of when, if anything, is revealed.
Just tell her. I don't want to know when it's coming.
Okay. You want to be ambushed by...
I didn't think anybody else was as invested as I was in the epitaph, but yeah, just tell me.
Yeah, no one's just like, I'm not going to solve it. I don't care enough to solve it, but she is, so.
Okay. I will probably take you up on the offer of like just laying out the actual relevant parts for me. Because I know you've laid out everything that is pertinent, but the ones that are really specific. Maybe the place name that we were talking about.
Yeah, there's a hint that I think I could give you that'll be useful, so we'll talk about it.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our ramblings. We're getting so close to the end. I'm really excited. I hope y'all are excited as well. And remember to think off meta.